If somebody didn't know it, they wouldn't know that this is a cemetery. It's also been not exactly plundered, but besides deteriorating, you know, we were here last year, and a bunch of the religious kids here kind of jumped over the wall with us and started to run around and show us things. I mean, they didn't have any sense of where it was, really, but because it wasn't Jewish, it had no meaning, it had no sanctity to it.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله يسلمك.
أكبر منك قديش كان عمرك حجة لما صارت المذبحة؟
لما طلعت عند دير ياسين كان عمري 20 سنة.
Only 20 years.
Was their house where the hospital is now? Is that
her family house.
As the battle began, and it began at about 3:30 to 4 o'clock in the morning, many of the people from Deir Yassin, the younger people, were able to flee down the mountainside toward Ein Karam in the west. What they thought would be an easy target actually turned out to be much more difficult. 4 of their people were killed, and 32 were wounded. So they asked the Haganah for help, Haganah being the main Jewish defense force. The Haganah had originally not supported the attack on Deir Yassin, but they did agree to help to try to get the wounded out. The Haganah had a strike force, an elite force, called the Palmach. The Palmach sent 17 men with a 2-inch mortar, and within an hour they killed all of the resistance at Deir Yassin. It was at that point that the professional soldiers of the Palmach left the Irgun and the Stern gang, humiliated in front of real soldiers and angered by the loss of 4 of their own, began to systematically murder men, women, and children at Deir Yassin. Most of those who were killed, somewhere between 110 and 130, were women and children and old men over 60 years old.
ذبحوهم هذول زهران 27 نفر في عتبة واحدة، وولاد التنين معاهم وبن زلمتي معاهم محمد. مصلى سيد محمد.
Her family was Zahran from Akel. She lost 37 واحد خسرتوا من عيلتكم.
مصلى محمد.
They lose 37.
They took men and boys, and there was a whole procession. Put them on trucks, and they did a whole parade down Jaffa Road. And they marched them downtown. All the Jews were standing and clapping and everything else, that we won this whole victory in Deir Yassin. And then they took them and they executed them, all of them.
They multiply more or less the number to 250 people who were killed in order for the Zionists, in order to say that you are observed to run away. If not, this what will happen to you. And for the Palestinians, they try to say that, look to the world. They try to say to the world, look how cruel the Zionists are, and you have to come to help us.
That, I guess, is why Deir Yassin was heard about, because it was an act done for publicity purposes in a way. Like, they did this and they wanted people to know that it happened.
It's reported on April 10th in the New York Times. This was an exaggeration designed to scare the Arabs, to cause them to leave Palestine, to drive them out.
Many villages, small and a bit large, suffered of the same things. People were massacred by Jewish terror groups at that time, and it was meant really that people would run away from their villages and their homes.
In Labun there happened one massacre of 12 people, I think.
الكويكات، الغبسية، البصة. In 48 we have Lifta, we have Colonia, we have بروي، برعم، إقرت، دمون.
I remember stories of people telling us that in some situation where the Zionist movement has some